Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try to marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My @ name has not changed. It's also right there under my finger. For those watching on YouTube, at Mike Dugar. Seahawks Man to Man is the name of our YouTube channel. That's Seahawks Man, the number 2. Man, that's also the same thing on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure you go follow, like, comment, rate, review, subscribe, repost, reshare. Whatever the kids are doing, all the good buttons on all these apps, just press them for us. It means the world. Thank you in advance for doing that. Chris, go ahead and talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky at CKIDD206. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of our new followers over there on TikTok. We have eclipsed 700. Let's get to 1,000. Keep supporting. We'll keep rolling out clips, content. I know you guys are eating it up. Whether you disagree with people, with our takes, whether it's Mike or myself, or you agree, it's always good content. And then also on Instagram, show us love as well, Seahawks Man to Man. And also, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're at 4,800. Let's get to 5K before the season ends. Come on. 200 of y'all that are listening right now, because I see the listening numbers. They're astronomical, which is, why the checks are nice. So shout out to y'all. But let's go over here and get some love on YouTube. Let's get to 5,000. Help us out some more so we can get more content rolling for you guys. So subscribe if you haven't. So those that are listening, go ahead, take the time out. YouTube, Seahawks Man to Man. Go ahead and hit subscribe. And I appreciate all of you that literally go on there, watch the video, and then comment at the bottom saying, just subscribe. Appreciate it. We see all those comments and we love all the support. So thank you guys. It's been a fun season and it's been a ride with you guys. So we appreciate all that.
Yeah, and also, we're not here to agree either. So if you guys like Mike, Chris, you tripping, that's cool too. I've been wrong before. So I'll be wrong again. That's great. The disagreement is healthy. So yeah, bring it all. Whatever you got. Just don't talk crazy because we wouldn't do that to y'all. But disagree, whatever. It's cool. It's fine. It's good. That's what we're here for. Sports is all about that. We're here specifically on this midweek episode. Talk about what we've seen from watching the tape. Looking at some numbers from the Seahawks beating the snot out of somebody else. They do this pretty much every week now. What they do. Beat the Falcons 37-9, which is crazy. That game was 6-6 at halftime. We have both watched the film, Chris and I, that is. You guys know the tradition at this point. The Seahawks win. Chris kicks it off. Seahawks won. So, Chris, what you got?
I got it. I'm going with Rashid Shaheed and
your boy.
As Mike,
he's your boy now.
When I texted Mike, I said exactly what Mike said. Yeah, boy. But it was good to basically talk about him last week on One Big Thing and try to get him featured. And the Seahawks do a much better job, albeit I thought they could have had a few more opportunities. And I'll talk about one of the opportunities that was just missed, and that could be a chemistry thing. But nonetheless, it started in that second half on that kick return. He had a few catches, I want to say, let me pull it up here. In the first half, he did have, 2 catches? His first catch was actually, I thought, really drawn up well. You motion a guy in Cooper Kupp. You want to just see what type of defense you're getting here. And Shaheed is on the far right. You motion Cooper Kupp from right to left. You have one-on-one in this scenario. It is a man-to-man with a safety over the top. And his first catch is something simple, something that anybody can run, but you get into the right hands, it could be dangerous. But nonetheless, it's a simple speed out. It's about, 6 yards and hits the out route. And it's a 1, 2, 3 balls there. Perfect play for him to get rolling, and you just want to get the ball in his hands. Now, I get that you probably don't want to do that late in the second quarter, but if you guys remember watching that game, the Seahawks weren't doing much of anything offensively. JSN wasn't a factor. The running game wasn't good. There's a reason why it went into halftime 6-6. So it's not to say, oh, well, Chris, I thought Shaheed had a solid game. He did. It just the entire team didn't do well in the first half. A lot of their damage came in the second half, albeit, as I mentioned, his first catch was simple, something straightforward, an out route, and Sam delivered. Easy pitch and catch. That's what you want to see. And it was, I want to say, for about 12 yards, so check. I think they can continue to use him in those scenarios just because he's going to get the second best DB on him, if not maybe the third, depending on how they view Cooper Kupp, who also scored on Sunday against the Falcons. But he also returned that kickoff, and that was impressive. And as Mike Macdonald has been quoted by multiple players as saying, he said, go out there and get a kick return. And what happens? Deja vu. Shaheed is able to hit the hole, and he goes basically untouched for a touchdown. And I think that just kind of kickstarted the entire team, and which ensued for a blowout of 37-9. His second catch stood out to me for a couple of reasons because it didn't work out. It went as an incomplete. Okay. But I like the idea. I like the thought process because when you got a speedster like that, you want to just launch it down the field and give him an opportunity to beat the DBs over the top. And you've seen it on highlights of Shaheed just running by split safeties. So what that means is you have two safeties over the top, and this man runs a route. Let's say he runs a post. He's splitting them. And then let's say it's across from the right to the left. That safety who was on the left, how is he getting beat? A, really bad safety play, and B, speed. Whatever, maybe the safety comes up just a little bit on a play action fake. Well, somehow your corner's also getting beat, and you see Derek Carr just launch it, and you know who comes up with it? Number 22, Shaheed. That is something we haven't seen yet with this offense, but I think we're getting there because he's running those routes. It's just not there. Unfortunately, maybe there's pressure on the quarterback. There's a lot of examples of why that play didn't work, but I'm seeing it on tape, and I'm just waiting for 1 week where Sam is able to launch it as he has with JSN. You've seen JSN coming into the Falcons game. He had a bomb. It felt like every week that he was catching, but I think those are going to come for Shaheed later as the season keeps progressing and he keeps getting familiar with the offense. But on his second attempt, it's 3rd and 8. I know Mike is big on how many first downs Shaheed gets in, throughout his time, because we mentioned, I think 2 weeks ago, about all the other players that have been showing up since they've been traded and playing really good football. Well, it happened again for a couple of those guys last week. But again, I thought it was a solid week for Shaheed on this play. 3rd and 8 doesn't end up in a completion, but it's a back shoulder. And the reason it's a back shoulder is because the DB is playing some solid coverage, but you can't guard everything. The DB was ahead of him, and I thought Sam put in a perfect place where the defender wouldn't be, and obviously he was not. And Shaheed, I think just the chemistry there, he wasn't able to turn around, flip his hips, and able to make a play on the football. He got his hands on it. He just wasn't able to corral and make the play. I think he'll have more opportunities to do so when DBs are playing the top of him like that, and maybe he can make a guy miss. I know he's not the best at making dudes miss in space. He's just immediately going to outrun you. That's his strength, catching it and turning up the sideline, and then no one's going to catch him. So the Falcons, they played press man on that one, showing a blitz look with the safety in the box. I believe it was Jesse Bates, but at the snap, Jesse does bail. And the DB also gives some leverage and just playing a couple of yards off, giving some room because, you don't want to get beat by Shaheed over the top. And maybe if the protection's there, Darnold is able to launch it. But in this scenario, that wasn't the case, and he did try to get a back shoulder. I just think as the chemistry builds, I think those two will have that. Because if that was a JSN, that probably is completion. You've seen that pitch and catch from JSN and Sam Darnold on those back shoulders. I know one's an elite wide receiver in JSN, and one's a pretty talented wide receiver in Rashid Shaheed. So you're looking at throughout the season, since he's been traded, that I think he's getting into a better rhythm with Sam Darnold and the Seahawks offense. So that stood out to me as like, okay, I can see the vision here. It's coming to fruition. It's going to take some time, but it's definitely coming into sight of what they want to do. And his last play that I thought was just perfect is it's perfect for a couple of things, because I think what JSN did, Shaheed can do for JSN and vice versa, as I mentioned. So this final play, you'll have, 3rd and 6. So opportunity for you to get a first down, move the sticks. And you'll have Shaheed on the left-hand side lined up with Cooper Kupp. And then on the right, opposite side, you'll have your guy JSN by himself. He's been shadowed for the entire game by A.J. Terrell. On this play, though, what happens is they run a deep post with Well, actually, maybe not a post so much, but it's a deep corner from JSN. He runs the corner, but the best part is he takes 2 defenders. And when that happens, when you're taking 2 defenders, that leaves one-on-one with everybody else. And that's exactly what you get with Shaheed. He has one-on-one with, I want to say it's Mike Hughes going across the middle, and he's running a deep crosser. So it's probably, I want to say about 15 yards is the depth, and ends up being a 33-yard reception. But when you run the play, he just attacks the middle of the field, turns his head, and the ball is on perfect timing, and he's able to get a few yards after catch, go upfield. Those are plays that you're going to have with JSN, because the gravity of JSN running any route is just going to pull safeties. They're just going to gravitate to that because you don't want JSN beating you. But you know what that opens up? Shaheed, or in this situation, Torrey Horton or Cooper Kupp, although that's not really his bag. You don't see Cooper Kupp getting too deep on crossers. Cooper Kupp is running outs, stick routes. Hell, the interception that they threw to Cooper Kupp, I want to say it was about 3 weeks ago, trying to hit him on a deep, I think it was a deep in route. Is like, yeah, they shouldn't be running that to Cooper Kupp. That's not his strength. Running 19 yards and trying to do a dig, not a fan of those, but that's neither here nor there. For Shaheed and Torrey Horton when he's healthy, that's money. Those are plays that you're going to want to see week in and week out. And then that one, it was perfect because the middle of the field just opened right up, and perfect pitch and catch again. Sam Darnold had a solid pocket, a clean pocket, dare I say, stepped into it and ripped it to Shaheed, who was coming across the middle as JSN was able to distract the safety and take him over the top. So when you see this on tape, you're thinking, I'm really starting to see that they're getting into a rhythm. They're finding that trust and value in having Shaheed on the field. And I think it's only going to get better. I'm not saying he's going to erupt for 150 yards, but I did mention last week, I think he's very capable of getting you 6 for 70 and a touchdown, or a healthy 7 and 60 something. That's what you want to see. It just opens up the offense. It makes it that much more difficult to key in on JSN, because you know you got the speedster that can run deep. He can get you over the middle intermediate. Whatever route you draw for him, he can get done. And if you really want to get creative, jet sweeps are another thing that he can do, albeit that was good not to see him in the backfield against the Falcons on Sunday. They completely eliminated that and just kept him out wide and had him running routes, which is perfect to see. So for my one big thing, it was Rashid Shaheed getting more familiar with the offense and getting some opportunities, even if it is on a quick out route. Just get the ball in his hands, because he can definitely make something happen. He is that explosive. And I don't know when it's going to happen. I do foresee him having a game where he does just break away from defenses. But you're starting to see, okay, this is the vision, and I'm starting to see it, how it definitely could come to fruition.
Yeah, I think to add to that, your point about getting the number 2 guy, I think is pertinent. Number 2 corner, that is, because that's exactly what happened in this game. It's Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes is fine. I think he was like a high draft pick out of like Central Florida, maybe. I remember him coming out. Anyway, not that good. He's not AJ Terrell, and he gave up pretty much. He was the guy in coverage on all of. He was targeted 4 times. They were all while he was guarding Shaheed. He gave up the 33-yarder, 12-yard out route that you mentioned. That he was the coverage guy on the back shoulder you mentioned, and it was his fault. They gave up the dig during that 2-minute drill when they were dropping 10 guys somehow, and Rashid was wide open.
Wide open over the middle.
Not only was Shaheed open on that, on the very next play, while the Seahawks had no timeouts, they let AJ Barner run an out route for 5 yards to make the field goal closer. Bad situation. The Falcons you want to talk about when teams are like bad? It's like the situational stuff is where it shows up. But like that part, I think, Chris, is where it gets relevant towards the end of the year, because what that game showed, the Falcons game I'm referring to, it showed the dangers of having one guy shadow jacks. It did, like, because they one, your guy could get burnt, which is what AJ Terrell was getting fried. He got fried, but then on the other side of that, now it's like we know you're in that coverage, because he was shadowing him all the time. Like it was very clear to see when Rashid got man, they were just like, oh, let's just move JSN. Oh, 24 goes with him. All right, Shaheed, do your thing. That's how he caught that first down. And that is where other teams, I think, are going to have problems, or where they could give other teams problems. The Colts, not so much. We'll talk about that with James Boyd in the back half of the show. But the other teams, you can't afford to put, like for the Rams, I think their guy is Emmanuel Forbes. Maybe it's Phillip Witherspoon. Let's say their guy is Kello, because he does tend to shadow best guys. if you just run a Rashid Shaheed around Emmanuel Forbes, that's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad in that game. Like he had that one good PBU. Like Emmanuel Forbes had like a 3-game stretch where he was Devon Witherspoon. Go look at his numbers since then. He's back to being Emmanuel Forbes from the Commanders. So like you can't just have him on Shaheed. Panthers, same thing. Their number one guy is J.C. Horn. If you follow J.C. Horn on Jax, and I love Michael Jackson, former Seahawks. Mike's playing really well, Mike Jack. You just have him on Shaheed, and you know that he's manned up against Shaheed or whatever. That's just those are the that's how you can really dominate games. I think that's what they need to do. The Seahawks can't afford to lose. For what, like as great as a position they're in, Chris and I wrote about this today. It's fascinating that to get what they really want, they can't lose again. They basically have to go 14-3 to get them 1 seed. You lose again, particularly if it's to the Rams or the Niners. You're not only not going to be the 1 seed. You might be like the 6.
Yeah,
you can go from like the 1 to like the 6, just like that. That's what's on the line basically in these final 4 games. So you need every advantage you can get. So I'm glad you brought up Shaheed because I thought that was good, like a good schematic game that shows what the Seahawks need to do. It's like if a team's going to say we have an Phillip Witherspoon, we have a Emmanuel Forbes, they can follow Jax, or we have a J.C. Horn, or we have a what's my man on the Niners that talks all that trash. I love him.
Oh man,
Number 2,
I see his face, Lenoy.
yeah, Lenore,
Demondre.
yeah,
Something Lenore. Bingo.
Yeah, because they didn't follow Jackson that game. That's just why he had like 100 yards on like Renardo Green or whatever. So, but let's say that in the week 18, they're like, you know what, Lenore, it's you. You called him a crybaby in the offseason. You said he whines too much. That was facts. He did that. He did it all on IG Live. Google it. Maybe we could put that in the show. But yeah, he did it all on IG Live.
Y'all cannot let DK leave. Y'all can't do that. How am I have fun out there? Najigba, he be crying all day. He cry. That's all he do is cry.
Ref, he holding, ref. Oh no, don't hurt me.
Cry, baby. Bro, I'm not worried about JSN. I'm not. He know that. He know that. He know that. God, he know that. For sure.
You said Jackson's a crybaby. We'll go guard him then. Cool. What does that mean? That means you got Renardo Green on Rashid Shaheed. You got Upton Stout, who's a rookie nickel on Rashid Shaheed. Like, that's where the matchups are. That's how you go win games. That's how you go, like, make up for the fact that they can't get explosives in the run game right now. Like, it's a very weird run game. So, that I'm glad you brought him up. Anyway, my one big thing is it's like a 2-parter, but I really think my one big thing is Devon Witherspoon. And obviously he played well in this game, but I think that there is just I think the connection between Mike and Devon, Mike Macdonald that is, and Devon is just it's I think it's unlike it is very similar, I think, to me to when a quarterback is really locked in with an OC, like how Sean McVay is with Stafford, or like how Brock be with Kyle Shanahan, or how Daniel Jones was earlier in this year with Shane Steichen, where it's just that there's the synergy there. Because Mike Macdonald, from what I've been told and some convos I've had with him, his football mind is like second to none in terms of like his anticipation of like, okay, this is happening, he lines up here, so they're going to run this. Mike Macdonald is very good at that. And that's how you get guys like Drake Thomas having like 7 tackles for loss or whatever he has. Drake didn't just become a new player. It's because Mike can tell him, all right, from second in this, when they align the back this way at this part of the field on this hash, they tend to run this. So we're going to run blitz through the B gap. Boom. You know, Nick Imawari, you can credit a lot of his game, I think, from Sunday to that, which is a lot of what Mike does. I think if you guys heard Jackson Smith and Jigba after the game call, Nicky Moore, he's like, oh, I tell him he's going to be a legend. But then the back end of that quote was where I thought was most fascinating from Jax. He says that Mike Macdonald's going to put him in positions to play fast. Like, yes, Jax sees a great player in Nicky Moore, but what he also sees is a great pairing with Mike Macdonald. And I think that's what it really jumps out in Spoon, and it really jumped out in this game. We mentioned it on the post-game show a little bit when I was like, Nicky Moore's interception was a Spoon highlight to me. The film only just reinforced that. It reinforced the whole game. Spoon is probably as good as any player I've been around, not named Richard Sherman, to know what's coming. And the combination of him and everybody else, and Mike Macdonald, and then that feeding off everybody, knowing what's coming, guys. We're looking at like a very special defense right here. It's tough for me to call it the best defense because Houston's games are on TV. I can watch them too, so I don't want to get over my skis a little bit. But what this defense can do when Devon Witherspoon gets put in position to make plays like he was, or uses that to his advantage, and it really shows up, Seahawks are unbeatable. Like on defense, that is. Like they really are. I mean that because his anticipation and his speed is just uncanny. Like I wondered why everyone was so happy that he made that play on Nick's pick, and then I went back and watched it all 22, and I was like, oh, that's an incredible play. That's an incredible play. Like he's supposed to protect like the middle there. Like generally speaking, without getting too in the weeds of it, like he's not supposed to just drive on stuff underneath, because if like someone runs like a dig behind him, and it goes for like 15, like what Shaheed ran that we just talking about for 16 yards behind the linebacker, or what Kyle Pitts had later in the game, that Nick got hurt punching on, like that was an underneath coverage issue, I think by Ernest, I want to say. Like, so Spoon's got to protect against that in that particular coverage. No. He said, I see Kyle Pitts at the number 3 receiver. He's going to run a stick route because it's 3rd and short. I'm going to drive on this stick route. That stuff, it seems so simple, but for guys to do that in real time is special. And they can do that because they're special players, but also they got Mike Macdonald. And I think what Mike Macdonald's given, what he enables guys like Spoon to do, or Nicky Moore, or Julian Love, or Ty Akata, or Drake Thomas, it's why this team is playing championship level ball. Because we talk about on the show a lot this year that I say one of the things that I love about what Mike Macdonald's defense does is they take whatever you're good at and make you not good at it. Well, how do they make you not good at it? Well, because they know when you're going to try to do the good, like, you know, you're going to run the good plays. Like, oh, here's your Bijan play. Like, if you guys notice in that game on Sunday against the Falcons, they kept running screens against pressure. I think Algier got him twice. I want to say Kyle Pitts got him once. One of the Algiers, I think, got called back because Spoon forced the holding call. But that play went for like 20 yards before the holding call. And then okay, what does Spoon do? What does Mike Macdonald do? What do the rest of the DBs do? Let's bluff this blitz. This is Spoon's pick I'm talking about. Let's bluff this blitz. What's he likely to check into if he thinks we're blitzing? He can't stand there in the pocket. He's not going to move. He's Kirk Cousins. He's 87 years old. He can't move. What's he going to do? Well, he's going to throw a screen. Oh, well, I'm to the trip side, the bunch side, which is where Spoon was on that time. I'm gonna just blow this screen up. That's why Spoon's just a havoc creator. He really is. And the scheme allows him to be like that. It allows Nick to be like that. I mean, D-Law had a couple shots at just making big plays, jumping the gun. Nicky Moore was able to shoot his shot a few times. It really just showed up, though, with Spoon. But I think that Mike designs his defense around players like Spoon, where you can be like, I want you to play fast. I don't want you thinking like, okay, my assignment's here, the motion here. I got like now it went from a 3x1 to a 2x2. What's my rules when it's a 3x1 versus a 2? No, they want you to kill all that thinking. Here's your job. Go be a football player. I remember it was years ago. Chris and I were talking about like Trey Flowers, for instance, because he was like a really good player at doing whatever the play said. If it says stand here, when the other guy stands there and get to that landmark, then do this, he was really good at that. But football's not about that. Football is about making plays. And to make plays, you got to be like, well, I could stand there, but it's 2nd and 10 at this hash. This guy's lined up here. This is probably just an out route. So why not just scoot up a little bit, jump on the out route? Now I may have PBU, pick 6, whatever. Like Spoon's already at that level, and we remember that from draft night. At least I do. When Pete sat on draft night, he was like, you remember who his comp was for Spoon? Do you remember draft night?
Oh, damn. That's a great question.
Pete said it was Troy Polamalu. That was his comp. He was like, he reminds me of Troy. And I remember thinking, does Pete know what he's saying right now? And I was like, of course he does. It's Pete Carroll. Like if anyone's going to aptly apply a Troy comp, it would be Pete. But the reason that he took it a step further, he was like, the reason I see Troy in him is because when I met with him, that's what Pete said. I met with him in our facility, and he was explaining to me how he was making these plays. I was like, blown away. His mind just said, poof. He was like, he knows what's coming. And we see that every week. We could really do a Spoon plays of the week every week, we just don't do that. It'd be bad content. But to do it, maybe we would. Maybe that we just make like a TikTok for something every week of Spoon plays. Maybe we start doing that. I can cut that up for you, Chris, if you need, because he's doing it every week. But this week it just really popped with the PBU, some of the tackles he made. Spoon and Mike is like, they really represent what makes his defense great. It's the anticipation that everyone gets to play with, whether it's Reek, whether it's Job. There was a play in the game on Sunday. Job drove on an out route on third and like medium. It looks like they're in cover 3, which would mean Job has like the deep third. But why would you bail? Play the sticks. You're probably getting a stick route or an out route. They don't need a touchdown, they need a first down. What do you know? Job drives on it. I haven't talked to Job about that, but those plays just jump out on film because when I watch these other teams that stink, I'm not seeing the same thing. I'm seeing a guy think like it's 3rd and 4, guys in cover 3, he's just playing off. Guy just runs a little 4-yard out route. How many times you guys seen that? You guys, you've seen that. You've asked us on the pod, Mike, Chris, why are we playing 9 yards off on 3rd and 6? Because we used to get all the questions all the time. Mostly when their DC
man.
was I think Ken Norton's defense. I think got us a lot of questions like that. But they were valid questions at the time. They're like, why are we playing 5 yards off on 3rd and 2? Right? Like, because that's what the play says do. That might be what it says to do. But the reason you can stop stuff like that is like, just be a ball player. Spoon's a ball player. His coaches guys to be ball players. And I think that's why Nick had a big game. That's why you've seen Drake make all these plays. Ty Okada played really great in this game. I'm not going to spend too much time on him, but he was outstanding, I thought. And just Kobe, that's why Kobe's having a big year. All this stuff. And it's really impressive watching that relationship, because that's what's going to get these guys to the promised land, I think, is having an elite defense that can make impact plays. It's one thing to just like, remember, Chris, we also used to get, again, with those Ken Norton teams, man, Mike, Chris, what's up with this bend don't break defense that Pete's got us running? Why we run prevent all the time when we get up a couple scores? Like, these were legitimate questions. I'm not mocking you guys for asking these, but there's a reason that you guys aren't asking those anymore. There's a reason. It's not because it's not just because you forgot. It's because you're not seeing it. Well, why aren't you seeing it? Because Mike got these guys playing ball, like real ball, not just like doing what it says on Madden. Like, here, run to the circle. You got that area. No, play ball. If they do this, then you do that. That's our rules. Let's run it. And it's really impressive. It just shows up the most with Spoon. It showed up in this game. It shows up every week. But like his PBU was one. His pick was probably the best example I've seen in a while, because that was like evolved throughout the games. Like, they keep getting us on screens against pressure. Okay, well, let's make them think there's pressure. Well, there's not. Now we got to pick. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. So, yeah, my one big thing with Devon Witherspoon's play, but more so what it means for the defense, because this really is this defense is 1A and 1B with Houston for me, for the best defenses in the league. And when they're playing at this level, all Sam literally has to do is not do anything catastrophic, and they should win every game, including the Rams game. If they go out there, Sam only throws for like 110 yards, maybe, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he needs more yards, but if he just goes out there and just doesn't do anything bad, they're gonna win. Stafford's gonna have a hard time scoring. He had a hard time in the last game, to be honest. They just got a couple short fields that helped him out. So, yeah, that's my one big thing. Spoon, shout out to him. He should be in Pro Bowl consideration for this year. As you guys have noticed, I don't know, you've seen, Chris, I've been tweeting out guys who are in the top 10. The Seahawks have 15 guys who are top 10 vote getters at their spot right now. Now, fan voting is only, I think, a third of how you get in, but 15 guys who are in the top 10 at their position. Spoon is not one of them. That is absurd. That should change. Hopefully the coaches and I think the players are the other third of that vote. Those guys hopefully recognize him. They have the last couple of years, so I have faith in them again, because this guy is balling. And he's balling in large part because of what the guy in the headset is doing. Because of that, you guys are watching every week a championship defense.
And that's unfortunate because he doesn't have the splash plays to back it up. He just be in the right space or plays tight coverage. He does the little things that you just, unless you watch the games and don't look at the stats, you would never understand. For instance, Mike explained it to me perfectly. Ernest Jones has 5 interceptions. But you go back and watch those 5 interceptions, 2 or 3, I can't remember all of them, but I know 2 or 3 are really elite. That's great linebacker play. The other 2 are like, 2 of them are just elite linebacker, dropping into coverage, doing your job.
The Houston one and then the Niners one.
Niners,
are the 2 like elite ones.
Boom.
Yeah.
And the other three are like, well, shoot, if the ball just does this, it goes there. Like he was in the right space. It was just more so good luck. Not had anything to do with his skill set, his ability to read a defense. It just happened to be he was there and made the play. And that's, I think, where Spoon lands against other top corners in this league. He's making all the right plays. The ball just hasn't found the energy for him yet. And on Sunday against the Falcons, it did finally for him, which was nice to see because, to Mike's point, he has been playing really good football. He just doesn't show up on the screen because maybe they're running the opposite direction, right? The ball, instead of going to Devon Witherspoon, where he blows up a tight end or gets around a tight end and makes a tackle for loss, it goes the other way, and he's chasing, and maybe it's a 3-yard gain as opposed to a no yards. So those are just small intricacies that I think play really big roles where people make votes is they look at the stats. And I can't knock them for that. Who wants to go back and watch 13 Seahawks games and then go watch 13 Niner games? And that's a tough thing to do. So what you can do is to simplify that. Oh, look at those stats. How many interceptions does he have? How many forced fumbles does he have? How many splash plays? Tackles for loss, tackles for no gains, hustle plays. When you look at that, it really narrows it down and makes it that much easier. Just go and vote for a guy that's not Devon Witherspoon, where you throw on the tape, you watch the games, you're like, wow, this guy's really good, which is, I think, why last season, what's his name? Oh, my gosh. Eagles defensive tackle. Help me out. I see his face. Jalen Carter. He won. Well, he didn't. You guys see my point. He basically got the nod over Leo. Yeah, he didn't have all the splash plays, but I'm sure when you go and watch his games, you're like, God damn. Not to say that Leonard Williams didn't do any of that, because Leonard did. He did the splash plays, and he was dominant, and then he's doubling down and doing it again this year. So expect Leo to be getting that high praise, which was deserved last year. I just think Jalen was.
He should be all pro this year. Yeah, he should be all pro.
So
Leo should be.
That was just my little spill before we get out of here. But hey, coming
up. Hold on. Can I give a stat real quick before we introduce our guests?
Oh, absolutely.
So a stat I like that I think encapsulates what we're kind of talking about with Spoon is PFF. Again, I don't like them that much, but they do have they track stops. Stops are they categorized basically as a failure for the defense. So like Kyle Pitts, the tackle he had where he should have got flagged for taunting if they're going to flag Reek. That was like a 3-yard stop on like 3rd and 14 or whatever. It's not a TFL. It's not a run stuff. It's not a turnover, but it's a stop. That's a big tackle. It gets your team off the field. So PFF tracks those. And among corners, Spoon is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, he's tied for 9th with Cooper DeJean. In stops, he has 20. Kamari Lassiter leads. Brownlee of the Titans leads, or he's second. I think Jarvis got traded to the Jets or whatever. But then Jacob Parrish, Andrew Phillips, all these other guys, Javon Bullard. I think these are actually safeties. Oh yeah, they are. I need to filter it to corners. So actually, among corners, he's 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, he's like top 5 among corners and stops. There you go. And Cooper DeJean is who he's tied with. DeJean, let me bring up the Pro Bowl voting right now. DeJean is the number 10 highest vote getting corner right now. So like he's playing Pro Bowl level is basically what I'm saying. So go vote for Spoon is the end of that.
Well, look, we got an interesting game coming up. You guys have all seen the news reports. Grandpa, as they call him, 44-year-old Phillip Rivers has gotten the phone call to come play quarterback. Well, you know, Mike has a friend that covers the Indianapolis Colts for The Athletic. His name is James Boyd. We'll get into that. What happened to the offense prior to Daniel Jones going down with injury? What's up with Jonathan Taylor? We'll get into all that. Do they have any shot at slowing down the Seahawks offense? Because their top corners are out. Shavarius Ward, formerly a 49er, and Sauce Gardner, who went down with calf tightness, calf strain. So they got some question marks. And obviously the biggest thing is the quarterback situation. So we'll get into all of that with James Boyd coming up next. Don't touch that. I can't say dial. You know what? Just let it roll. Here comes James Boyd.
All right, now it's time to bring in our special guest, who has to be one of the busiest NFL beat writers of the week right now, covering the AARP Indianapolis Colts for The Athletic, making his debut to the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast. We got the homie and fellow basketball enthusiast, James Boyd, on the show. James, what up, man?
What's happening? A lot has happened, I'll say that. So I'm excited to join you guys and dive into one of the more bizarre matchups of the year, I think.
Yeah, man. We could get a 44-year-old quarterback against the team led by a 38-year-old head coach, which is just crazy stuff there with Phillip Rivers signing to the practice squad. Before we get into Phillip and Grandpa, which is crazy that he's a grandpa, I want to read some stuff. I'm a big nerd. I'm a big numbers guy here. Everyone who listens to the pod knows that. I want to read some splits for people who haven't probably been following the Colts. So weeks 1 through 8, this is the Indianapolis Colts. Highest scoring offense, highest points per drive, first in EPA per play, second in rushing success rate, first in explosive runs, first in explosive plays, top 10 red zone, top 10 goal line, top 10, actually top 5 third down, right? Okay, so that's when they start 7-1. So you guys are following. Then they go to Pittsburgh, handles them. They go to Germany, barely beat the Falcons, lose their next 3, including Daniel Jones tearing his Achilles. So then in weeks 9 through 14, which is where we're at now, bottom half of the league in literally everything I just read, except for explosive pass rate, which is 10th. Actually, 7th on the goal line, too, in efficiency. You're talking about 19th in scoring, 21st in EPA per play in weeks 9 through 14, and all these other bad stats that I don't have to bore everyone with. But, James, it feels like this team was actually, the arrow was pointing down before Daniel Jones popped his Achilles on Sunday in Jacksonville. What was happening with this team before that?
I think to a certain degree, it felt a little bit like when Daniel Jones and the Giants made the playoffs back in 2022. They started off, I want to say, maybe like 7-2, end of the year, maybe just 9 wins, and kind of backwards their way into the playoffs, if that's a way to phrase it. But I think they were trending down because at some point, Daniel, who was playing at the MVP level for the first 6 weeks of the season, was going to taper off. And it felt like most quarterbacks, when they blitzed him, after having the answer to the test every single time to the first 7-8 weeks of the season, those answers were harder to come by. And we saw that flare up in the Pittsburgh loss, which was, lopsided. They told us at the time, it's an anomaly. We had 6 turnovers. That's not going to happen again. Daniel Jones had 5. We'll be fine. Not really. They kind of needed they needed a JT miracle game. It felt like over in Berlin with him going for over 200 rushing yards and an 83-yard touchdown, all of the above. So since then, man, it felt like this team was regressing with their quarterback to a degree. Their offensive line was struggling, and they were struggling to find answers because if you look at the last, 3 losses and 4 of the last 5, it also correlates to JT not going off. He hasn't had a 100-yard game in the last 3, and he's been held below 100 yards in 4 of the last 5.
Wow. All right, Chris, it's time now. Can we talk about Grandpa?
Okay, this is insane. I did not see this on a bingo card. I didn't think in a million years a guy that has retired from the game would get a call saying, yo, we have an emergency. Are you available and are you willing to come to the practice squad and we'll work it out from there? And you know what Phillip says? Well, you know what? I'm chilling in the backyard with the family. They gave me a thumbs up. I think I can make this work. How insane is this about to be? Like, let me ask you this. What's the probability of him suiting up Sunday and actually playing against the Seahawks defense?
That's a great question. Man, I'll probably put it at 50-50. You have to see where Riley Leonard is with his right knee injury that he's going through. And there's a possibility he could play. I haven't ruled him out. I've been trying to talk to people behind the scenes. And it does sound like the injury is more short-term than long-term. They have to see how he responds to treatment this week. But the reason why I'm not willing to say it's a low probability for Phillip Rivers to get out there is because here's an example of how bizarre this week has been. So for the last 2 to 3 weeks, on Wednesdays, Shane has gone with the walkthrough because he wants to keep his players fresh, and they'll usually just practice on Thursday and Friday. So you get the estimated injury report and all that, but they don't go on Wednesdays. And he's done that the last couple of years when we get to maybe week 14, week 15, stuff like that. So that was the original schedule for this week. So before I join you, lovely fellas, I get an email from the Colts, and they've updated their schedule. Tomorrow they're going to practice. So they're going to have the full 3 practices this week. And I can only think of one big reason why that would be a change. It's because they're bringing in the grandpa to get some reps in because he hasn't played in an NFL game or hasn't been part of an NFL setting since 2020, which, by the way, was with the Colts back then, too. So that, to me, was probably something that piqued my interest, to say the least.
Who do you think would even give you the best chance to, I don't know, score some touchdowns? Because you know the Seahawks defense has been playing really good football. They only gave up 3 field goals against the Atlanta Falcons. And Kirk Cousins, who was a capable quarterback, he was dominating. Well, not dominating. He was playing really solid football beforehand. went up against the Seahawks defense, and everything that he was doing well did not work well. So do you think that a Phillip Rivers who ain't played in 5 years could even give you a sense of hope if you're a Colts fan to go out there and do anything over what you guys already have, assuming he's not banged up?
I feel like I'm giving y'all all of the exclusives. I got a column coming out on this, but this is how I'm gonna break this down. So I turned 30 on Friday and went to the Jim Irsay YMCA, ironically, to go hoop. And when I got there, I scanned in, right, and the lady looks at me and she's like, wait a second, you got to come back here. You got to do some stuff at the front office or the front desk. And I'm like, wait, what? What you mean? She was like, you have to update your account to an adult membership. And I was like, I thought I was already an adult. And she's like, no, you were a young adult. And I was like, dang, I'm cooked. Like, I'm cooked. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, man, like first time I ever felt like I was old, right? 30, I'm unk now. And then I'm thinking about this dude like, wait a second. If they saying I'm washed just to come in here to play a pickup basketball game, on a Friday night, how washed is this dude who ain't played in 5 years? And I get it. Obviously I'm not a professional athlete. He's a legend, Hall of Fame, semifinalist, all of the above. But I am in the camp of if you have not played football, even if as a young dude, that's at your detriment. And also at that age, I just feel like it's not a realistic outcome, especially going up against this defense. I mean, from a competitive standpoint, you have to think that any Seattle Seahawks defender is champing at the bit to say, put him out there. I want to get a sack against the Hall of Famer. I want to make sure he goes back to retirement. I mean, I would feel disrespected, honestly. I would feel disrespected if I'm the Seattle Seahawks and you think you have any modicum of a chance to win this game with a dude that ain't played in the NFL in 5 years. I don't care who he is. So, I don't think that it's a good proposition, but to the Colts' credit, they don't really have a lot of options at this point in the year. It's not like you can go over to the Giants and say, hey, can you trade for Jameis Winston? That's over with. Joe Flacco, that's over with. Yeah, same thing with Russ. That's it. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. And at the very least, it'll be interesting come Sunday. If Rivers is out there again, you got Brett Rippon, who's in the mix, their third string guy. You got Riley Leonard in the mix, and then you have Phillip Rivers. But boy, all signs point to them at least considering Phillip Rivers for Sunday's game.
And so I want to read because I don't know how many of our listeners are following the Colts that closely before this news. This is the Colts' final 4 games. The Colts are 8-5. They're at Seattle this week, obviously. Then they're host the Niners. This is looks like a primetime game. Is this a Monday game? Yep. So Monday night. Then they got the Jaguars at home. And if it's not a Colts podcast, but all Colts fans know playing the Jaguars is a death sentence, particularly when you play at Jacksonville, as they just learned. But in general, the history there is not great. And then they're at the Texans to close the year. That is hell. That is the Jags DC who's been good. I forget his name right now. Former linebackers coach for the Dolphins, Mike Macdonald, who's amazing, Robert Saleh, who will eat Phillip Rivers for breakfast at 57 years old, and then you got D'Amico end the year with maybe your wild card spot on the line at that point. Play some D'Amico Ryans, huh? How about that? How about some?
Yeah, they might have 3 All-Pros in their secondary right now. Like, it's scary. It's scary for the Colts, and the way I look at it, man, is this team is so. You could kind of feel it, I thought, in the locker room after that Jacksonville game. Because even if they had Anthony Richardson, who, by the way, talk about bad luck with this team, this dude broke his face, more or less, during pregame warmups back in week 6 because of a training accident with the band. And for those who keep making fun of him, the band itself didn't hit him in the face when he was stretching with it. The band actually broke something he had it attached to, and that hit him in the face. So people making jokes, it's like, dude,
okay.
Imagine you get a fastball to the face, it's going to break something. And so he's not in, I believe, form to even play football, let alone be clear for football activities. Shane Steichen told us last week, people be asking about him, what about AR? He hasn't even been clear to do football things. So he's out of the mix. And this would have been a perfect opportunity for him to step back in there and give you some juice. But without that locker room was looking around like, man, our season might have just ended with that guy's Achilles. And it's crazy to think they were 7-1 and they might actually lose out and miss the playoffs. Crazy.
My goodness. Could they lose? Could they miss out? Oh my goodness, they can.
Yeah, because the Jaguars didn't drop off. The Houston didn't drop off. And as you mentioned, Seattle and these other opponents are not going to lay down for them. They have no gimmies left. It'd be different if they were facing the Titans. The Titans game's over with. I mean,
Oh,
Chris,
wow.
it's bad, brother.
Oh my gosh. So maybe you guys can help me, but I want to say 4 years ago, there was a scenario where they actually, I forget which, I might have been the Patriots, but they went to a wide receiver that hadn't played quarterback since
That was the
maybe-
Broncos.
It was
It
the
was the
Broncos.
COVID year. The COVID
Yeah.
year, the Broncos had to play that receiver because the whole quarterback room got COVID. And I forget I'll look up his name as we go, but that's the team you're thinking of.
So James, who's the wide receiver on your roster that could possibly play a quarterback because he did some back in college and they were like, bro, it's your time.
Yeah, so technically, I don't even think they've officially signed Phillip Rivers yet, but if and when they do. So it's Phillip Rivers. If you think about healthy quarterbacks on the roster, Phillip Rivers, Brett Rippon, and rookie tight end Tyler Warren. He will be their emergency quarterback, the lefty out of Penn State, played some quarterback back in high school. They actually threw a pass with him earlier this year. It was an incompletion. Didn't work. But point being, that's no diss to him. He's been actually really good for this team, and if any quarterback is going to step in there, they'll be glad to have him as one of his targets, big guy over the middle. But, yeah, that's how bleak things got. And what's crazy is against the Jaguars, they were actually one play away from him stepping in because they didn't call up their third quarterback for that game.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, that was another thing. Even this past Sunday when Daniel Jones went down, if Riley Leonard had gotten hurt, which he did, but if he had left the game with that injury, they couldn't have called in Brett Rippon because they didn't call him up to the active roster. They would have had to put out Tyler Warren and run the wing T.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. I found the guy's name, by the way, Chris. They played
Go ahead, Mike.
Kendall Hinton was his name. That was
Dang, boy.
that was
bad.
him. Yeah,
That was
I felt bad for the brother. Yeah, that was rough.
The running game. Mike just brought up all the numbers about the team just going downhill. What happened with Jonathan Taylor in that offensive line? Because he had 200 yards this season, and he hasn't sniffed that since. Not that any running back is going to sniff 200 yards, but his production has definitely gone down. What would you say is the catalyst for that, and how do you think that's going to fare Sunday against a defense that hasn't allowed a single 100-yard rusher all season?
Well, I don't think it'll fare well because similar to the Jaguars, who also have not, I believe, allowed a 100-yard rusher this season, now you can really stack the box because you're asking, again, Brett Rippon, Riley Leonard, or old Phillip Rivers to beat you. And having covered Devon Witherspoon, Illinois, my fellow Illinois brother, he's excited for that. Like, and the rest of them, like, this is when I can get those, Pro Bowl, all pro stats up, So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And when it comes to JT, I think the offensive line has kind of regressed to a degree. I thought center Tanner Bortolini was great to start the year. He's kind of been figured out, I think, over the last month or so. Their tackles have been leaky. And not to mention it, now that you kind of, maybe refresh my memory, all this quarterback talk, they're probably going to be down their right tackle, Braden Smith, who's in concussion protocol right now. So they're going to start rookie Jalen Travis, I would think, in his place. And he hasn't played all that much this year. Had a decent amount of reps last week filling in for Braden Smith when he left the game. So all that in mind, I think, again, it goes back to teams first wanting Daniel Jones to beat them and seeing over the last month that wasn't working and just sticking with it. We'll just continue to stack the box and force you to beat us deep, and you can't. And then now you just exacerbate the problem because these other guys just aren't on the level to really go out there and win a game on the road in this environment. Let
me ask you this, James. How long have you been covering the NFL?
This is my fourth season, but I feel like it's 10 because, between Jeff Saturday and Phillip Rivers, man, it gets crazy.
So let me ask you this. Don't Google it. Off the top of your head, how many NFL games have been forfeited for any reason?
Oh,
this is a hilarious question.
That's crazy. I actually do not know this at all. I don't know. 8?
I got the 0. Not
okay.
One game. There have been close
I was
calls.
about to say this got to be like way back when,
So in 1921, there was a close call. It was almost official forfeit, but that didn't happen. COVID-19, 2020 to that 2021 season. And then in 2019, the Chiefs almost had one as well because their equipment didn't arrive in time almost for the game, but it finally got to the stadium. But at this point, I mean, man, could the coach be like, yo, we really don't have a roster to go out here and compete. Can we just give y'all the dub? I'm not saying that they will do that. I couldn't imagine a head coach going to the podium like, hey, we just want to announce that Phillip is not good to go. He did all the testing. It did not look great. Our other quarterback is actually hurt. he will not be playing. And then, as you guys know, Ripken, he's just not ready for this level of football. So we gonna politely surrender. We'll see you guys in week 16. But am I even crazy for putting that out there?
Yeah, I'm gonna say a little crazy. They're not gonna lay down.
Very
They'll
crazy,
there,
James. You can call him very crazy.
Yeah, like they'll go out
You get
there
game
and
checks over here, man.
you know they'll get out there and probably get smacked. You know, to be honest with you, because I don't just foresee this really going well for them. And normally, again, if it was Anthony Richardson stepping in, I'd be like, you know what, maybe he can have a game. I've seen him have moments, at least in the NFL, and to his credit, he's 8-7. As an NFL starter. So it's like, okay, you got a coin flip maybe at quarterback. Granted, that defense is great in Seattle, but nah, they'll go out there and they've been telling themselves and talking to people behind the scenes, and they're trying to hype this up. You know, I'm thinking of the meme, like you're trying to gas it up. Like that's what they're trying to do right now. Because they know also, just in the grand scheme of things, you were this close, it felt like, to finally ending your playoff drought. They haven't made the playoffs in 4 years. You start 7-1. You were 8-2 at one point atop the AFC going into your bye week, and it's gone all downhill from there. So it'll be tough sledding because, again, in addition to the quarterback situation, in addition to the right tackle, Braden Smith, possibly missing the game. I know you all mentioned it. I think when I first jumped on the podcast and we were doing kind of our little green screen behind the scenes, Travarius Ward, 3rd concussion in 14 weeks. He is not going to play Sunday. That was one of your big prized offseason acquisitions to bolster your secondary. Sauce Gardner, his status is still up in the air with a calf injury. Fortunately, not an Achilles, but at the same time, given how calf injuries can sometimes go, do you want to push him? Do you want to, try to put him back out there sooner rather than later? And then, God knows what could happen. So it's tough right now for the Colts, and it feels like it's one thing after another because during that game in Jacksonville, besides the injury to Daniel, everything else was either an injury update or the Jaguars just put more points on the board.
Yeah, that is brutal. Also, you brought up they haven't made the playoffs since 2020, I think. Is that right?
Yep. Which was
they
Uncle Phil.
Yeah, and they haven't. Give me the last year. I know the answer. When's the last time they won a division? I know you know the answer off the top of your head.
2014. I was a senior in high school.
Senior in high school. You just got called old by the lady at the YMCA, and you was a senior in high school the last time they won the division, dog. This is I can only imagine what what's the lady's name? She be at the games, the owner.
Carly Ursay Gordon.
Yeah. Oh, she probably fuming. Right now. Y'all need to get some quotes from her. Did she talk to y'all this week? Can we get that?
Man, I swear. Oh, Lord. The next time we get her on the record, it will be something because the evaluation changes, seriously, so quickly. I mean, a month ago, you thought you had one of the top 5 teams in the league, and now you're wondering, do we bring back Daniel Jones? Do we bring back Shane Steichen? Do we bring back the general manager, Chris Ballard? I mean, everybody's future is kind of up in the air at this point. And the only way that I believe that they can probably save it is to get back into the playoff picture. But the problem is you don't have the quarterback who did get you to 8 wins. And on top of that, you're looking at just the whole landscape of it. Your schedule is not easy, starting with that Seattle game. I mean, we had that circle for weeks. And at the time, it's like, oh, if you drop that one, it's okay because you can come back and thinking at the time because you thought at the time you would have won more of your AFC games. You did not. I mean, on top of losing, 4 of your last 5, all 4 of those losses were to AFC opponents. It's like if you're going to have, one of the games get flipped, you'd probably rather lose to the Falcons and then win, against one of your division teams.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize. Yeah, when you mentioned they could be out of the they made that Sauce trade. What was the record at the Sauce trade?
They were 7-2 because they had just got blitzed by the Steelers.
The Steelers, 7-2.
Yep.
Thinking like we're a contender. Sauce is about to take us over the top.
Dude, I remember writing at that time, Mike, like they had an off-ramp and they didn't take it. They were like, you know what? We still had an out to be like, this might not work with the quarterback. This might not be our season. This might not be for real. They went full steam ahead, which I respect. I mean, at least they went for it. That was some of the criticism with Chris Ballard, but you went for it, and it has backfired tremendously since then.
Well, last thing before we get you to make a prediction, you mentioned they don't have any healthy DBs that can run a 40 faster than 4.5 right now. Those are my words, not yours. But I mean, when I was looking at teams who may trade for Reek Willen, I was like, I'm sure the Colts had to have called, like the Sauce thing is was a better proposition for them, albeit more expensive. Like when the defense has played well, whenever that point in the season, any games they've played well, what is the thing that they do? What can give maybe some Colts fans some hope or give the Seahawks some trouble if the defense does what on Sunday?
I think their safeties that played pretty well. I'll give some credit to Nick Cross at strong safety, and Cam Bynum has been pretty much revelation for them at their free safety spot. He's been a takeaway guy this year. So he's someone who's flipped the field for him a couple of times. So I look at him as a potential catalyst, someone who could possibly change the game. Latu, he's been quiet this year from a sack standpoint, but he's also has 3 interceptions at the defensive end. So is he somebody who can bat a ball? And, I had the same face I made looking up some of that stuff, Mike. He's, I believe, the only Colts defensive end with 3 interceptions in one season. And he actually had a great play against Patrick Mahomes a few weeks ago in Kansas City where he batted the ball, jumped up and caught it himself. So he's a guy who can be a game changer, but it's just not consistent. And again, not to just, play the injury card, but they're down their best defensive lineman in DeForest Buckner. He hasn't played. He's been out several weeks due to a neck injury, and there's no guarantee. He actually is eligible to return this week from IR and play against Seattle, technically, because he's already missed his 4 games. But from everything I'm hearing, it doesn't seem like it's trending in that direction for him to play this week. And also, you got to keep in mind with the neck injury and all they're going through, it's like, is it worth that risk if I'm not right to try to go back out there? And I know our playoff hopes might already be over. So a lot to think about from his perspective as well.
Wow, man, that is a snake-bitten team, dog. I forgot about Buckner.
It's crazy because the fans get mad at us like, you didn't ask about this person. It's like, dog, we only get how it goes. We get about 12 questions, 13 questions on a Zoom call. 5 of them is about the quarterback. I'm like, I can't ask about every single injured guy on the team. But, man, you are snake-bitten is certainly the right word to use. And I would say, boa constricted, it feels like.
Yeah, now when you got to basically call Phillip Rivers to reenact Bernie Mac's role in Mr. 3000, which is exactly what's happening, by the way. Like, this is the football version of Mr. 3000 for y'all who haven't seen it. Bernie Mac is Mr. 3000 because he got 3,000 hits, goes trying to get into the Hall of Fame. Actually, I think he does get in, but then realizes they made a clerical error. He's 3 hits shy. He's like, I'm going to just go back and play. He's about Phillip Rivers' age, I believe, in the movie, and then just go watch it to see how it goes. But this is exactly that. This old ass dude gonna come here, try to feel like if he still got it. That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. The last thing I'll say about that is, and I love, and shout out to all the insiders who do this, but seeing some of the reports, and I think it might have been actually our Diana Rossini is like, one source says he's in better shape than he was when he was playing.
All right,
and I'm always like, what shape we talking? Because cardiovascular system might be a little bit better or something like that. But I'm like, playing a game of football, man. You can't tell me a man who is 44 now is in better shape to play the game than he was when he was 39 when he left. I mean, come on, y'all. Like, and I get it. Like, the reports are what they are, and I respect the business. But part of me is always like, all right, let's see what this really looks like. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be a little more skeptical. I'll be the pessimist of the group.
Can I read a JJ Watt tweet in that same vein from today?
Yes.
I think he's being serious. He says, "This is real JJ Watt, right? I don't want to read no. You can't never be able to tell." Okay,
no,
this is JJ.
Real. I'm just talking about.
Okay, tweet. Okay, yeah. The tweet says, "Fun fact learned in production meetings." Because JJ does some stuff for one of those networks. All right. He says, "Phillip Rivers ran the same offense as the Colts for his son Gunner's high school team this season. He and Shane Steichen, head coach of the Colts, spoke weekly about it, discussing plays and even film. So familiarity with the scheme should be no problem whatsoever." That's the tweet. And I wish I knew JJ. I wish I had his number. I would simply text him, JJ, I don't think scheme familiarity is what anyone is worried about. when he goes out there, they're worried about his life insurance policy, brother. They're not worried about no scheme. What scheme you gonna run when you 44? Oh, that was a funny tweet. I had that bookmark today. I've been sending that to everybody today. That was one of my favorite tweets I done read. To your point about people trying to convince us this is not completely nonsensical.
I know.
We see it through that.
That's the team I cover, man. When they hired Jeff Saturday, after that, I think I was numb to everything else after that.
Yeah, no, it don't get more unserious than that. Yeah.
Bro, you laughing. This man was texting Mike and everybody else was texting me that day, laughing at me, while I'm in this press conference, heated because it's late. And I'm like, I could be at the crib right now chilling. And I got to deal with this.
That's Saturday.
The
What a
Irsay
franchise.
family, they don't hesitate to hit that call log, boy. They be like, yo, I got a problem.
Hey,
Who do I know?
never boring here. I'll say that.
Yo, oh, man. All right, Chris, let's get James out of here, man. He can finish that column. Let's get his over under his prediction.
So yeah, we'll start with the over under. I'll go with Jonathan Taylor. We'll go rushing yards. We'll do 85.5. You gonna take the over or under?
I'll take the under because I think he's gonna get stonewalled, especially if they stack the box, which they will. And assuming they fall behind early, Sam Darnold and JSN get going, and you're down, you're gonna throw the ball, and that won't be too much better of an option either. But I'll take the under, and even beyond just the matchup itself, it's kind of been trending that way. Like teams have, unfortunately for running backs, it's pretty simple. It's like if your quarterback can't necessarily beat me, I'm going to stack the box and just force you to be either Superman, and you're going to have to break a ton of tackles to get to the end zone, or you're not going to have the success that you've had previously. So it's kind of funny, Mike, we were talking this week, and sorry I ain't got time for it really, but about the whole like offensive player of the year conversation.
Oh, yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah, that has changed a ton because, again, the team that had a what looked like a top 10 quarterback for a good portion of the season and an MVP candidate at running back, that's tapered off in both regards.
Yeah,
Well,
so real quick before his prediction, Chris, what James was talking about is, so Nate, our Rams writer, and Chad, our Patriots writer, combined it for like a MVP breakdown story between Stafford and Drake May. I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me hit up James. Maybe me and him could do something like that next week about Jonathan Taylor and JSN and the battle for Offensive Player of the Year. And I didn't even text you, but I knew it was over. I knew you too busy. Yeah. Like, why would we do that now?
Respect.
It's fine. For y'all that listening, that story is not coming. We are not doing that. James is busy, and I'll pivot to something else. So yeah, that's dead. Understandably so.
We'll get you out of here on a prediction. So right now the Seahawks are favored by 13.5. James, give us a score and who wins.
Well, if you haven't noticed yet, I'll definitely lean towards the Seahawks winning this game, and I'll go with 27-7. I don't think it's necessarily going to be like a super high scoring game. I think the Seahawks will take advantage early, get up early, and probably run the ball from there. And then I see the Colts possibly getting like a backdoor touchdown or something like that to, make it look a little more cosmetic. But I don't think that this will be a necessarily close matchup.
Yeah, understandable.
Right. James, the floor is yours now, man. You got eyeballs on you this week. You're in the national spotlight now with this Phillip Rivers story, man. This is the time to plug everything: socials, pods, stories you got. Come on, floor is yours.
Radio,
shamelessly promote.
Yeah, man. I've been grinding, so yeah, you can check out all of my posts and nonsensical things over on X at RomeoVille Kid. That's all my platforms as well. And then obviously writing for The Athletic, I got some things coming. Like I said, I got a column coming on the whole Phillip Rivers experience. Him representing for us old dudes, I appreciate that. And then also I co-host a radio show here in Indianapolis called 107.5 The Fan, which is a top radio station here in Indy. So we'll have plenty to talk about. I enjoy it. I feel like this is the Twilight Zone, the Upside Down. I know, the whole Stranger Things movie/show was based off of being in Indiana, and boy, am I here, and things are crazy. So I'm excited for what's to happen.
Real quick, that's crazy because they were just in the NBA Finals. The Pacers were. Tyrese Halliburton's like, I got a calf strain. I could thug through that. Pow! Here goes his Achilles. Daniel Jones having a great season, and now he pops his Achilles. It is, you know what? That is a great reference. Stranger Things for sure. Upside Down. I'm sorry, James. I hope in next season Tyrese comes back dominating. If they bring back Daniel Jones, he gets back to where he started week 1 and continues throughout the season, because that is crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. It's crazy. I got a text from some Pacers people actually during the Colts game, and because I had covered the Tyrese stuff as well, and they were like, "You got to be kidding me!" And I'm like, "I am not." So rough year here for Indiana sports, but I don't know. Maybe you had to sacrifice something for Indiana Hoosiers to be number 1 in the country. So it is what it is.
I was about to bring that up. I was like, "Yo, hey man, Indiana's out here winning the Big Ten in football." Like, hey,
you only get one good team at a time, is what the sports guys are saying.
Caitlin Clark's groin exploded
That's what I'm
apparently,
saying, bro.
and she couldn't play all year. Nah, man,
Fernando
it's
Mendoza,
rough, man.
we trust.
You're gonna get the Heisman winner in the Big Ten and in the Big Ten champ from Indiana and the #1 team. So hey, it's not all bad, but this week, yeah, it might be. Well, hey man, we appreciate you joining the pod. We appreciate taking the time. I know you're busy this week. As someone who just wrote a book about a period in team history, I just give you this advice: save your notes. You've got some material, brother. You got some material there
For sure.
People will buy what this period of Colts history. You save your notes. That's all I'm gonna say, man. But yeah, appreciate you, man. I'll see you Sunday. That's right. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
See you here. All right, man. You take care, man. All right, thanks again to James, man. That was fantastic, man. I'm happy for him that he's getting all this national attention because when you cover certain teams, you just don't get that type of love. It was the same thing for me when they traded Geno and DK. It was like everybody wants to talk about the Seahawks now, right? So, but also, goddamn, Chris, he's got to watch Phillip Rivers maybe for the next, not only to the end of the season, to the end of Phillip's life. He might not make it.
Yeah, that's
it's 2026.
Good luck, man. If they really about to trot him out, man, that good luck. I don't have words for that because you haven't played football in 5 years. That's such a physical game. It's not like tennis or something where you're like, oh, I can probably go play. Nah, man, dude's trying to kill you. Like, what did James say? They're gonna be chomping at the bit. They brought out old ass Phillip Rivers, and they think he has a chance against us defense. Nah, we coming for him. We want him to put him back in retirement. So yeah. I guess for his safety, I would recommend not putting him out there. But if they're that desperate and they think he can give them the best chance, I guess we will see what happens Sunday.
Did you see there was a play, not in this last Chargers game, but I think last week, where a player, Justin, got mad because a player tried to swipe at his left hand that's broke. I think it was Crosby. I think he yelled at Max Crosby last week, or somebody tried to swipe at his hand. Players know when you're hurting. So, like, they know when you're old as well. Well, this is like, yeah. I hope Brett Rippon plays. Well, actually, no. I'm going back and forth. I like Phillip, the idea of him playing, so I can see it for my own selfishness, but like for his health, yeah. I hope he just goes home and be a family man. Go raise them 27 kids or whatever he got. That little 50, he gonna get like 50 G's or something, whatever the league minimum is when you're that old for playing. That's not worth it, Phil. It's just not. It's just not. But anyway, thank you for James for all his insight. That was great stuff. Make sure you read all his work. We're not doing a collab story this week. He's too busy. It's fine. Yeah, read all his stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for tapping into the latest episode of Seahawks Man to Man Pod, our one big thing. Also, our opponent preview. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, reshare, repost on our YouTube channel, Seahawks Man to Man, TikTok, Seahawks Man to Man, Instagram, Seahawks Man to Man. Do all that good stuff. We appreciate the love and support. Our next episode will be a YouTube exclusive. That'll be on our platform. We're going to break down some film from the Falcons game. And then after that, our post-game show will be available Monday morning on all platforms, including this one. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.